If you're prospecting and you're not getting the results that you want, you're not setting appointments, you're not consistently generating listing leads, and you've got prospects ghosting you, they're ducking you, they never pick up your follow-up calls, they end up doing business with other agents when you do end up getting them back on the phone. In this video, I'm going to break it all down. Why that is actually happening, what to do about it, and most importantly, at the end of this video, I'm going to break down the actual word-for-word script that you can start using in your business right away. So let's jump right into it. I just want to remind everybody that brand new script book is ready to go. So all you have to do is hop down in the description right beneath this video, and you can download the brand new script book with all of our new for sale by owner, expired scripts, all of our objection handlers. All of that is now ready for the people, Ben. So that's some good news.
Insane.
Yeah.
Let's get into how maybe some people could use that.
Yeah, exactly right. So on today's episode, I want to talk about why people aren't getting great results through outbound prospecting and why a lot of people have great results with outbound prospecting. What's the difference, right? What's actually happening here? So that's what I want to get into today. And I think that a lot of people understand that direct outbound prospecting can be super, super powerful because they're in control of what they're doing. And so they have the ability to go out there and make the phone call. They have the ability to go out there and knock on the door, where versus the passive lead generation approach, they're having to wait for things to happen. So they understand the concept. What often ends up happening, and we see this all the time with the agents that we coach, is they'll do this activity of outbound prospecting. They'll start making some outbound calls, and they'll kind of feel like they're spinning their wheels for a bit. And the reason for that is they're forcing leads that are not real leads into their pipeline. The question, Ben, is, and that we're going to unpack right now, is why are they doing that? Because here's the story. Here's the reality. You and I hear this every day on a coaching call. Listen, Ben, I've been following up with people. I've been prospecting, but every time I follow up, either A, the prospect never answers my call, or B, when they do answer my call, they always tell me they went with another agent. What am I doing wrong? So the audience can probably resonate with that, right? A lot of people feel that same way. It's like, I'm making the calls, Brandon. I'm just not getting the result. Okay. Why are they forcing prospects that are not real leads into the database? Number one, it's from this place of scarcity. The issue for most real estate agents is simply that they're not having enough conversations to hit their goal. As a result of a lack of prospecting, they have a pipeline that is filled with prospects that are never going to do business with them. The reason they do that is they say, well, the little prospecting I do, Ben, I've got to make something of it. So I might as well get something out of this. Even if this person's like, yeah, I'm looking to sell in the next 37 years, I might as well put them in my database. Might as well gather an email address versus getting nothing. And they quickly find themselves in the data collection business. It doesn't pay very well. They click all these email addresses for what? I don't know. And then number two, so that's the first reason. Then the second reason is their unwillingness to accept the truth. So you and I ask questions to agents that we coach all the time, which is, if you knew right now that a prospect was never going to do business with you ever, when would you want to know? And every time, Ben, the agents all give the right answer. I would want to know right now, right now, right now, right now. If that is the case, if you would want to know right now, then why wouldn't we find out right now versus beating around the bush, having conversations with prospects, getting what we call happy ears, hearing what you want to hear, forcing people into the database because we don't ask the right questions. Why? Because we're afraid of the answer. So we're afraid to find out, wow, I just prospected for an hour and a half and I don't have anything to show for it. And so I'm not going to qualify. I'm not going to try to disqualify this prospect because I don't want to hear the answer. So give me kind of your thoughts on what comes to mind with this huge issue, and then we're going to start talking about the solution.
Yeah, it's kind of like back in middle school when you like a girl and you're tiptoeing around it. You're not clear on where you are, and all of a sudden you're in the friend zone, right? So I don't know if that connects with you, but for me, it's like let's be a little bit more direct on what we're here to do. Let's not drag it out too long, tiptoe around because they don't need another friend most likely, right? So let's just let them know what we're here to do and in the direction we're headed.
It's a great analogy. I love that analogy because going back to that whole analogy, it's like you never tell the person how you feel. And so that person's not a mind reader. And so they end up dating your best friend and you're like, what you're dating my best friend? And they're like, yeah, why? What's the problem? Well, I'm in love with you. Wait, what? You are? I was in love with you too. You never said anything to me. And that's what's happening to these agents, you know?
All the movies we watch on the weekends, Brandon, it's like over and over, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. And so, all right. So what is the solution? The solution to being a great prospector, getting tons of leads and tons of appointments and tons of listings is to simply invite the prospect to tell you no. Just invite them. And let me share a call clip from one of the agents that we're coaching right now so the audience, Ben, can hear it. And then it will make a lot more sense as you and I kind of unpack that. All right. So let me just share my screen and I'm going to go ahead and hit play so that everybody can hear what going for no actually sounds like with the real prospect.
Okay. Well, when would you want to hear from me next, just to see if it even makes sense for you to invite me over at that point?
I would think first November-ish.
Okay. Okay. And Chris, can I ask you something?
Well, yeah, it's been all along.
Well, do you mind if I ask you again?
What's that?
You know, a lot of times when I'm on the phone with people and they tell me to call them in, a couple weeks in a month or so, it's really because they just want me off the phone, and I just want to make sure you're not doing that now, are you?
No, I'm intrigued.
Okay, fair enough. Well, why don't we do this? And again, hopeful that your letter of intent will come through. Why don't I just send you a little bit of information about myself? That way, in the off chance it doesn't come through with what you're hoping for, you already know a little bit more about me, and if you'd even want to invite me over and meet you and your wife at that point. Either way, no big deal. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
Okay.
So again, I want the audience to hear, because we talk about it all the time, like going for no, inviting somebody to tell you the truth, because that's what we're after. And when you invite people to tell you the truth, a couple things happen. Number one, you set yourself apart from all of the other people that they may be talking to, because everybody else is in convince mode, right? Everybody else is asking questions that elicit some type of yes. And oftentimes that's why you're met with the rejection. And for everybody listening, that should be a huge aha, massive takeaway for you right there. That's why you probably don't get very much when you prospect, because everything you're trying to do is convincing the person to do something. And so it's going back to like the whole dating thing. When you come across and you're real needy and you're real desperate and you're smothering, you turn off that person. They don't want anything to do with you. That's how a lot of people in our industry of real estate sales are. They have that commission breath. They're super needy. They're super desperate. They're super salesy. Well, the exact opposite is also true. You see, when you gently push prospects away and you say, listen, I've been doing this a long time, Ben, and typically when people tell me to call them back, what they really mean is they're just not interested in ever hearing from me again. You can do a little chuckle right there. And what you're going to find is you pull through strategic empathy. The prospect says, wow, this is a real human being. And it's like, no, I actually am interested. You sound completely different. Now we know we've got a real lead. Why? Because we weren't scared to hear the truth. Well, Brandon and Ben, what if someone says they aren't interested? Well, I go back to the question I just asked you. If someone was never going to do business with you, when would you want to know? And everybody says right now. Well, why don't you just ask right now and find out and be able to be mature enough to handle the truth? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I don't think you have to be super direct to the point of, when I come over, are you ready to sign the contract?
Yeah.
Right. We don't need to be that direct. At the same time, if you're struggling with canceled appointments, people going into the witness protection program, as we always say, what might be happening is you get a little glimpse of what you think is a lead, the email, the excited of, sure, follow up with me in the spring type of thing, and then you never hear from them again. Most likely because they're just kicking the can. Hey, I'm just going to give this guy a little something. He's going to go away for a little while, and then I'll just block his phone number, right?
That's right.
Part of the illusion that a lot of agents, just all of us have fallen for.
Yeah. Well, and again, I look at, okay, why is the agent avoiding this behavior of prospecting? It's because they don't want to deal with the pain of rejection. And the only reason they're getting so much rejection is because they approach this with a what's in it for me mentality. What can I get from this? What can I get from this person? And of course, when that's the mentality, you're going to deal with a lot of pushback, right? You're trying to take something away from someone. When you flip that around and you go into this activity with what can I offer? How can I offer to help this person? And if they don't need my help, it's okay. All of that pressure comes away from the agent where they can make these calls without feeling that pressure, making prospecting a lot easier. On the tactical piece, let's go even a little bit deeper. So I think what a lot of agents will do is when they're having these conversations, they'll communicate in a way that forces the prospect to be agreeable so that the prospect can politely end the phone call as quickly as possible, right?
That's right.
That's right. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to communicate in a way where we make it safe for the prospect to tell us the truth because we can handle no. Because yes lives in the land of no. But you can't get to an agreement without first being able to accept no. So what we say all the time is the tactic is by speaking against your own interest. So here's what that could sound like. If I'm talking to a prospect, Ben, and you're an expired listing, I could say, listen, here's the truth. I mean, I'm not the agent for everybody, but if you want, I'd be happy to meet with you, walk you through what I'm doing to help our clients get their property sold. And Ben, listen, after we've met, you could decide if hiring me makes sense or not. Because let's be honest. I mean, if you felt that I couldn't get the home sold, you're never going to hire me anyway. Am I right?
Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah. And then you could just follow it up with say, listen, at the same time, if you're not open to that, it's okay. You could tell me. I promise you won't hurt my feelings.
Awesome.
Yeah, when you could communicate with confidence because you're willing to hear the truth, you'll have a huge breakthrough. Prospects will respect you more. You'll start to find real people that appreciate the way in which you're communicating your approach, and you'll come across like a real professional because you're not attached to the outcome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we hear all the time from students that even though they're getting no's, they're learning why versus just getting hung up on because they sound salesy. They're like, hey, so-and-so's in the business and I'm just obligated to them. Or, we're just not moving, right? We decided to stay put. Like you actually get to the root into the conversation, 90-95% of the time. And at least now versus it just being because of the way you sound it.
Yeah, you nailed it. It's like the whole goal is to get to the truth. Can I help this person or not? And for the vast majority of real estate agents that do this activity, it's their unwillingness to actually get the truth. They say they want it, but they're not willing to ask the prospect questions that would elicit the truth. And so they ask questions that beat around the bush, which oftentimes they're just met with people that just resist them, And so we've got to get past that. And it's not about being direct. It's just about this willingness to be transparent, and just understanding the reality that you're not going to get everybody to do business with you. You're not going to get most to do business with you. So why don't we just start to speak from that perspective and tell people, listen, if you have no intention of ever meeting with me, it's okay. You could tell me. Is that what's happening? Yeah, you know what? We've got our brother. There's no chance we're ever going to meet with you. I mean, wouldn't you rather know that than spend the next 6.5 weeks following up with this prospect, with a bunch of hopium?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I've got all these leads, Bob. Man, things are looking really good. You start prospecting and following up. No one's answering your calls. No one's returning your calls. No one shows up for the appointments. Everyone's ghosting you. This is the root cause of that. So for anybody that this made any sense to, if you're looking to get some more support and you are open to a coaching relationship, we'll put a link right underneath this video in the description. Feel free to schedule a one-on-one consultation. Then we can talk about whether or not, Ben, it makes sense for us to work with them or not. And if not, it's all good. You will continue to get video. You'll continue to get value from these videos.